Our next guest believes multiples are high, but they make a lot of sense given the market's resilience this year. Joining us now, Sylvia Jablonski, CEO and Chief Investment Officer of Defiance ETF. Sylvia, great to have you with us. So how do you think about valuation? Yes, the market has been resilient, but that doesn't mean that it won't be primed for a normal 10% pullback at some point, which is garden variety, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, Melissa. Well, I think that, what we're seeing here in the earnings season is very beneficial and kind of supportive of the multiples, right? You're seeing a lot of corporations come out with stronger balance sheets than ever, strong CapEx. You have about 80% of the names beating so far out of the 66% that reported on EPS, another 70% on revenue. So corporations are growing. They're kind of growing into their multiples. And then you have this big AI phenomenon behind it all, which could drive the market forward.
How do you think about the investment that the big cap tech companies, the Mag 7, have outlined in their earnings releases? They stuck by or raised CapEx spending, which is fantastic for the likes of an NVIDIA, for the suppliers, for anybody who sells into them.
It is, and it kind of feeds this narrative that AI is going to be the trade for the next 5 to 10 years. And with that, everything that comes with it. So AI, power, quantum computing, things like this. So if you look at companies like Microsoft and Amazon, I mean, it's just amazing how much they've poured into their Copilot AI, into their cloud AI services. And I just think that, that really tells us that this is where the expansion is going to come from. And this is potentially where the next set of revenues are going to come from in these companies in the next few years.
There could be an argument, though, that for a company like a Microsoft or an Alphabet, they have been basically asset-light companies for so long, and now they're investing so heavily in hardware. And so how do you start thinking about that change?
So what I think that they potentially could be thinking about is kind of the future of technology, what happens after AI, right? And I think that's the supercomputing quantum phase. You also hear a lot of these large companies investing in hardware because of that, right? So that's a potential 30 to 35% CAGR there. Commercialization is growing there. Use cases are growing there. You're going to have to train these AI models somehow. And so those investments are necessary.
And I understand investing in towards quantum because quantum is out in the future. And yet one of your ETFs, I think, focuses on quantum computing. And for a lot of these names, it seems like that's another, generation of computing away at this point. At least that's according to Google in terms of its quantum strides.
Yeah, well, it could be. But if you look at some of the pure quantum names, this is actually the first earnings season where they're seeing huge jumps in actual revenues. So IonQ had an 80% jump in revenues. D-Wave had about a 500% jump in revenues. And so these companies are actually starting to become more commercial. They're starting to produce and prove something, right? And so I think that there's some value there.
Oh, I thought you wanted to participate, Joe.
If I really have something a little bit, I think you just saw a look of admiration on how you're conducting this and
okay, thank you.
And managing through Sylvia's defiance. I told you, she's very defiant, right?
Right. Well, I would say, forward-looking, innovative, defiant, yes.
Where does it come
As
from
a
again? Where does defiant, it came from the founder?
Yes,
right?
It came from the founder, Chairman Matt Belsky. It's a, nod to his family, essentially his grandpa and his uncle were the two heroes that biggest rescue of Jews during the war. And the movie Defiance is after.
It's an amazing story and an amazing name. And
thank you.
I always bring it up. I know people at home are like, oh.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
If they watch a lot, they're like, oh.
Yeah. Of course, everybody does.